Okay, I am back. Hopefully, you can hear me now. Please put a one in the chat so I know that you can hear me. Mic check, mic check. Let me know. Okay, yes. Okay, awesome. So I'll start over again. Thank you so much, Jackie. I appreciate it. I was just talking away. So, how are you, chat family, doing? Welcome to Transformational Tuesday. I really appreciate every single one that comes through and listens to my podcast from Monday to Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you're new, subscribe to this channel, hit the like, and share this with a friend. So, on today, we're talking about controlling behavior. And I think that it's a very important to talk about how serious this is. I'm not making light of it. Okay. I'm not making fun of it. And some may think that, oh, that person just is concerned or that person is just worried about me. So, first, we have to start off by talking about what is a controlling behavior. It occurs when a person attempts to conform another person into their own needs or desires through some sort or form of manipulation. And this desire to control is very unhealthy, it's unhelpful, and it creates many relationship conflicts. And not all the time controlling behavior is abusive, but often not, it is abusive. So now that we have kind of defined what controlling behaviors are, let's talk about some individuals that can be controlling with their behaviors. Thank you so much, Miss Jackie. I appreciate it. So, let's talk about some examples of behaviors of a controlling person. And the first one that I want to say is a person, when they're very controlling, they can frequently criticize you. You know, they criticize you. What it is some people, they want to break you down, break down your self esteem so that you don't have enough strength to do anything but to depend on them. And that's a really terrible place to be in. A person who wants to always put you down, you can never do anything right with these individuals. No matter what you do, you can never be right. They're always blaming you for every single thing that you do, and you could be doing the best for them. Probably keeping a home, being supportive, loyal, compassionate, understanding. Most of the time, the people who have controlling behaviors, they have an anger problem. They're angry about something, maybe from the past or what they have dealt with or whatever the case may be. But controlling behavior usually goes with a person who is jealous. So they're frequently jealous, and we have to be very careful of a person who is jealous, because a person who is jealous will do many things to you to bring you harm, physical harm, you know, mental and emotional harm. We were just talking about the criticism. So, sometimes verbally, being verbally abusive, attacking your character. And with that jealousy and the control, they don't want you to go around anybody. They don't want you to have any other friends or spend time with anybody but them. So they're ones that they're always calling you. They always want to know where you have been, what you're doing, and frequently pop up and oftentimes have that stalker type of personality. Like everywhere you are, they want to be where you are. If you go somewhere, they want to be there. And it doesn't always necessarily have to be in a romantic relationship. A person who is controlling could also be a controlling relative that wants to have all of your time. They don't want you to have your own life. It's not always a controlling spouse or significant other. It could be a controlling sibling or parents. But oftentimes we think about a controlling mate, a controlling boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, or a wife. But controlling behaviors is in all relationships. It could be in any relationship that you have. And what I've been seeing a lot recently is controlling children. And for me, that's weird. That's really weird that it's your child and they control everything about you. You can't do anything without trying to, you have to tell them everything you're doing. If you do something and they don't want you to do it, then they're going to have a temper tantrum. And I'm talking about children who are grown, your grown children. And sometimes it gets to be where they're so controlling, they don't want you to have your own life. They don't want you to go out and have fun. They don't want you to get into a relationship. They're only focused and centered on everything has to be about them. So by nature, they can be very jealous. They can be very selfish. And that's a part of the controlling behavior. But I wanted to say that if we know people who are being controlling of us, many times when in the cases where it happened to me where I was being controlled, I'll be 100% transparent. I was not in a good space um, in my personal development and awareness. I didn't know who I was. I didn't think that I was worth much. So, like the old saying goes, a person knows who to fool. So they know who to mess with. They know who to manipulate. The ones that have low self-esteem, the ones that can be easily swayed and controlled. And they pick their victims, unfortunately, especially in romantic relationships. Um, you know, I hate to say this, but I've seen it many times where people get um, their husband or their wife from another country, and they get them from their country, and because they take them away from their country, and then they get involved in a DV relationship where, and they always throw it in their face, I'm the one that brought you here. You wouldn't have this life if it wasn't for me. So it's just a very bad situation. And I've seen it many, many times working in social work. I've seen it many, many times to where there's a controlling husband or a wife that has sent papers for them to have a green card, a visa, whatever the case may be, for them to leave their situation back in their country. So it's a really hard situation and a predicament that many get themselves involved in. And I always want to say to all the chat family, if you or somebody is in a relationship, it doesn't have to be romantic, any relationship, and you feel unsafe, you feel scared, you feel threatened for your life, um, please get help. It's not a laughing matter. I'm not making light of it. If you feel unsafe, if you feel scared, if you feel you cannot have any life, if you have been assaulted um, verbally, physically, even financially, this is a form of abuse as well. In romantic relationships with siblings or relatives, the financial abuse is not really looked at a lot. There are many people who are in a controlling relationship and they are not able to spend money as freely as they want to. They control how often they eat, what they spend their money on. They're not free to do what they want. So that is a controlling mechanism. And I've heard many times, oh, they just want me to be frugal. They just want us to save money. And we have to be very careful with that. We have to really pay attention to people because, you know, there's signs, there's warning signs. It may start with, okay, this, and the next thing, they don't want you to go anywhere, and then they're jealous of you, and next thing, they put their hands on you. So we really do have to pay attention when it comes to a person who has controlling behaviors, and it's not right. I have to say this, it's not right. Anybody who is being controlled, it's not right, it's not fair, and nobody deserves it. Nobody deserves to be mistreated, abused in any aspect, you know, verbally, emotionally, um, physically, financially, spiritually. We're all adults and we have the freedom to choose. We have the right to choose um, when we don't want to be around people anymore. And unfortunately, the ones that have some mental illness, some PTSD, mental illness, schizophrenic, bipolar, narcissist, whatever the case may be, whatever issue that person may have. Sometimes some people are just off, just off, and they have a lot of unresolved issues from their past. And we definitely have to know that we have a choice. And I wish that I had known that when I was younger, that you have a choice. I have a choice, whether it's your siblings, it's your parents, it's your friends, whoever, it's your job. And let me talk about that for a little bit. Controlling behavior on the job. Um, I've seen it many times where people feel that they have to do whatever the manager, the CEO, your boss, whoever it is, the people that you work with, your job associates, can be very controlling, and you feel that you have to do whatever they say. And even some are threatened. You have to work overtime, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to conform to the standards of everybody else. And if you are in that situation, some things is just not conducive for your mental health. Some things are not good for our physical health because you're so worried about that your blood pressure goes up, you can't sleep at night, you're not eating properly. So many things happen when you have controlling people in your life, and their behaviors are just terrible, atrocious, disgusting. The things that I've seen and we've seen in the entertainment world, it's been highlighted over and over again. And I'm not going to name names of entertainers that have been controlling and have assaulted their boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, and wife. We've seen it. And we see it on the day-to-day basis with, your neighbors, somebody being in a DV situation, or um, a parent that has an alcohol problem or a drug problem, or just have undiagnosed mental illness. Hey, Blessed Life, how are you doing? Welcome. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. And I've seen it so often that there's so many people who are undiagnosed with mental illness. It could be your parents. Many years ago, there was not a focus on mental illness. And there are many people who have never been diagnosed and they need help. They need to be on medication. Just because their behaviors is not right, they cannot handle life. They have a lot of issues from their past and they've been scarred. So, we cannot do anything about people who don't want to change. We can't make people change. Thank you so much, Blessed Life. I'm glad you're good. Good morning, Miss Tamika. How are you doing? Welcome in. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Happy Tuesday. And that's the thing that, I love to talk about this topic because I have been there. I have been there. I've been in a relationship and felt that I like always afraid. I always felt nervous because I didn't want to make the person that I was with unhappy because I feared the repercussions of me wanting to do what I wanted to do. I didn't want to hear the yelling and the shouting and all of those things. So we have to be so careful about, you know, getting out. Um, I have to say that to any of you who feel unsafe, no matter what it is, who these people are. It could be your parents, it could be your siblings, other relatives, a friend, quote unquote, your spouse, significant other, your children. It could be a workmate. If you feel unsafe at home, if you feel unsafe in the workplace, if you feel unsafe in a relationship, you don't need to stick around. You know, back in the day, it used to be, when you got into a relationship that, like you had to stay with that person for your whole life, even if they were, trigger warning, even if they were beating the crap out of you and you had black eyes and you had all of these things and everybody else saw it, but it was just this thing about toxicity that, you stuck it out. No, those are the people who become unalived. And I hate to say it that way, but it's the truth. I've seen it. And unfortunately, I have seen the cases of tragedy where they couldn't get out for some reason or another and winded up leaving behind their kids. So, with this very sensitive and very triggering topic, my heart goes out to any who has lost a loved one to a DV situation. Fortunately, I was saved. Fortunately, my situation didn't last too long because I had supportive people that helped me to get out of that. But that's not the case for everybody. So if you or somebody needs help, I'm going to put a hotline in the description box when this live stream ends for some support. If you live in the United States, a hotline 24 hours a day. You can talk to someone and remain anonymous. I want everybody to feel safe and happy and at peace. Every single person deserves to be at peace. Every single person. So I also wanted to add to this discussion about controlling behaviors of um, our ourselves. Sometimes, unfortunately, the person who is controlling may be us. I know that this conversation is not had everywhere, right? A lot of people don't want to talk about how they may be the problem. You may be the issue, you know? When you're around toxicity for such a long time, you become toxic. And you may not even realize that you are being controlling and demanding and unreasonable and selfish and want all of that person's time and always want to micromanage what an individual is doing. If we or somebody we know is like that, you need to get some help. Therapy is there. And I know that there is a stigma when it comes to getting assistance with therapy, going and seeing a therapist, the things that people will say. But I will say this, chat family, when you go through things in your life, traumatic things, hurtful things, there's nothing wrong with getting some help so that you can function properly. Well, trust me, if I was able to put myself back together again, I would have never went to a therapist. But sometimes we don't have all the tools necessary to help ourselves. Yes, I hear a lot that people talk about, oh, give it to, your spirituality, pray it out, lean on God. Yes, and while I do believe in that, I am a believer, I am a woman of faith, I do think that more is involved. While that is out there for anyone who has that belief system, also we need to talk to somebody so we can have the right tools so that we stop beating up ourselves about what happened to us, so that we can, let it out, let it go, and stop repeating the same circle of bad habits. Because I found for myself, because I was so used to doing something for so long, that I began to adopt poor behaviors myself. So sometimes we don't mean to have poor behaviors, but because maybe your parents or people around you were toxic, and the way they talked, or the way they communicated was very toxic and unhealthy, you adopt your environment many times. So I had to learn that yelling wasn't okay, that I thought yelling was communication. Mm. And that's, or I'm thinking I always have to have my way. That's a controlling behavior. We don't always have to have our way. We don't always have to be right. We don't always have to have everybody follow the things that we want. Everybody's a free moral agent, entitled to thinking and feeling how they want to feel, how they want to think. Okay. And anybody who is in our life that feels that they have the right to tell us what to do, tell us what to think, tell us where to go, how to spend our money, how to dress, where to live, that's a very, very unsteady ground. It's very scary to be in situations like that, because you never know who is going to escalate, because at any time a person who is not operating in a very healthy mind space can snap just like that. What stops somebody who has been stalking you or putting their hands on you from going to the next level and trying to unalive you? We can't know what's going on in somebody's head. So if we feel that we're being controlled, and even if it's not to that extent, maybe if somebody has not put their hands on you, but somebody who wants to call you 10, 15 times a day, or someone who always wants to know everywhere you are, they're showing up where you're showing up, they always want to know who's your friend and who are you talking to and what did you spend money on, and don't you can't dress like that. All of those things are very toxic behaviors. And most of the time we think about that happening to ladies, but I also have to shout out my male chat family. Yes, men get controlled. Um, Many times there is controlling behavior from the opposite sex. It's not a one side, like it's not just one gender that is specific to being controlling. A woman can be controlling, and so can a man. There's can be toxicity on both sides, and To my male audience, I know that many times we don't we don't support a male being physically, verbally, emotionally, financially, spiritually abused, but it happens, and it's happening every day. You know, and now it's coming to light more and more and more men are speaking up and saying this is what happened to me, because oftentimes it's looked at as a man that is in that situation. Oh, he's weak, he's this, he's that. No, that's not the case at all. People bully a person who is already down, and I'm speaking from personal experience. When I was at my weakest point, being in a DV situation, I've had people say, "Oh, what did you do? What did you do to make them mad?" So more toxic behavior on top of what I was already dealing with. Blaming you. What did you do to make them so upset? What did you do to make them so angry? So then I started to doubt myself, thinking, what did I do? And feeling guilty. And then you're in that perpetual cycle of sticking around, like something happens, there's an argument, and you go right back into it, and then you blame yourself, they blame you, then you apologize. Things are good for a little bit, and then it's back to the toxic behavior over and over again, and that cycle will never end. It never ends. No matter how much a person says that they're going to change, unfortunately, um, sometimes it ends in unaliving. And I speak this from a place for I can't speak and say how everybody's toxic DV situation is going to be, because I'm not anybody else. I only can speak on my point of reference, what I went through. And it started with that for me in my relationship. It started with me. Okay, first off, it starts off, where are you going? Who's around there? And then it's like, don't wear that. I don't want you to wear that. You need to cover yourself up. Or and then getting to into the jealousy, then getting into always want to look at in my phone, and popping up anywhere I went, just driving by. um, on and on it goes. And even if you said something, they never believed anything you said. Even when you were telling the truth, they always made it seem like it was your fault. And why is that person with you? And it's like, it's crazy. It's like they work here. Well, I don't like how they look at you. Just the jealousy always coming out. Are you guys in a relationship together? Are you guys sleeping together? It was wild. And it was nothing the case like that. But when you are in a DV situation, they're not mentally stable. They're not okay. Many of them have mental illness. Some of them are just a psychopath. Some are a sociopath. Some have, that mental illness, schizophrenic, bipolar. Some are narcissists, or some is a mixed. It's mixed. They have many different issues going on that they need to really work on themselves. And I shared this openly, and I'm grateful to be in a space to where I got out. And I say thank you. I thank my Heavenly Father every day that I'm still here, because I know many people don't. And I also have to think about all the people who supported me when I was in that space when I didn't love myself. So, to all of you supportive, relatives and friends, when you see, your friends and your family members in relationships where you know that it's controlling. Now that I have gotten out of it, I can spot it a mile away. You know, somebody that they can't make a choice. I've seen it many times. Go to a restaurant, and the person who is there, they can't even choose their own food. When the waiter comes, They order their food. I was like, been there, done that, know all about it. Telling you what you should eat, and shaming you all the time. You can't have this and you can't eat that because you're gaining weight, or whatever the case may be. They control everything: what you eat, what you drink, how you look, who you talk to, everything. And try to break you down so that you're so weak and vulnerable, that you're so broken that you cannot leave. And because they've isolated you from your friends, they've isolated you from your family, you really don't have anybody to depend on. And most of the time they've done things around your friends or your family. They've been so hurtful. They've abused, they've taken, probably stolen, maybe assaulted or made a scene around them. So of course your friends and your family does not want to be around them. And because you're with them, they don't want you around because they know you go along with the drama. So it took me about a year and a half to get away from my controlling ex. And it wasn't an easy road. I knew from probably after 1 month into the relationship, I knew that I wanted to get out. And there's always going to be people with their smart mouth, passing judgments. Oh, well, if you don't like the relationship, then just leave. It's not as easy as that. Leave and go where? Leave and go where? With what money? Many times, the ones that are being abused, they don't work. At the time, I didn't work. I had no money. They will not make you work. Or if you have a job, they get you fired so that you will always depend on them for money. That's what was the case for me. I started off, when I met them, I had a job, but then I lost my job because they call you too many times. They show up, you call in because of course your face is swollen, you have scars on your body, so you can't show up to work. So it's many things that happen to where you get in the situation where you can't keep your work. And of course, now you depend on them 100%, and they have you exactly where they want to have you. Because if you don't work, if you don't have your own money, you have to go to them for money all the time. And that's a control thing too. They don't want you to look good. They don't want you to look attractive to the opposite sex. They don't want you to keep your hair done. They don't want you to have your makeup and look pretty. No, they said they want to be the only person to look at you and say you look good, and you can't look too good. So it shows how off they are. They're truly off. Um, and I wanted to say that I'm grateful for the support of people that knew about it from the beginning, and they didn't give up. You know, they always told me when I was ready, I'll be here for you. And I'm grateful that they were. I understand that it's not for everybody. Because I did have people who say, well, you chose them, so that's your problem. I'm not, and that's more toxicity, and that messed with my mind for a long time. Because when you're already feel low, and then somebody is telling you, well, you chose them and that's your problem, being very mean spirited and evil, that's not what you need at the time. At the time, you need somebody to say, no matter what, I'm here for you. Sometimes it would just be somebody to just listen to me, listen to what I'm going through. And it took me about 6 months before I said, I got to get out of here. And even after getting to that point, knowing that I wanted to get out, it still took me another 6 months to get out, because it's not that easy. um, if you just have somebody who is controlling you with their words, that's one thing. But when somebody starts physically assaulting you, it's to the dangerous point that you don't know if the next time they put their hands on you, it's gonna end your life. So you have to walk on very, walking on eggshells. You have to be very careful, and you have to come up with your plan, like I did. You make up your plan. You save some money. You get your own place. You're putting things away so that you can get away. And that's what I did. I first found myself an apartment, um, got myself some therapy, and I'm telling you, when you raise your self esteem, that's when I was ready to leave. Because when you've been beat down so long, that's what some people just don't understand. When you've been beat down mentally, when you've been beat down emotionally, when you've been beaten down physically, it's not just as easy to say, just pick up a bag and leave. Leave and go where? Leave with what money? When you have no money, when you have no self-esteem, when you're just used to that environment, you stay. And you, especially if you're married, you feel like you're abandoning your marriage. You feel like you're a bad person, and people will tell you you're a bad person for leaving the relationship, and you should stay in your marriage, and on it goes. I've been through that whole thing. And I'm here to say, don't listen to other people. You have to know what you want. And when you're ready, you know, and I'm always available on my email for anybody who feels unsafe and you want a safe space, anonymously, you know, we can email each other and conversate that way. I believe that I went through the storm, and this is just one thing in my life that happened to me. Being in this situation, I don't have to read about it in a book what a domestic violence is like. I experienced it. So I can not say I know how another person's DV situation is, but I can say I know how mine was, and I can know about how I felt, what I went through, and trying to put the pieces of myself back together. And I'm telling you, when you've been broken down so much that when you finally put yourself back together again, it's a complete renewal and restoration. You're even stronger and more courageous than you ever were. So, shout out to anybody who has ever had to endure it, and anybody who has ever had to deal with controlling behaviors in others, not just domestic violence. Maybe your child, a sibling, parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents, friends, workmates. It's not okay. I wanted to say that it's not okay. And I want you all to know that you're not alone, and you don't have to put up with it. You don't have to put up with it. You don't have to stick around. I want you all to know, chat family, at any time you can choose to walk away, you can choose to leave. But what I will say to anybody who has somebody who likes to put their hands on you, don't tell them you're leaving. That's a very dangerous thing to do. Don't tell them. Put your plan in secret, set things up, and just disappear. You know, get yourself a burner phone, you know, and cut everything off. Even change your name, get a name change, move to another state, and start all over again. Okay. I say this with empathy and compassion, that you're not alone and you can make it through. We many times this is not a conversation that is talked about because people are talking about it from reading a book. I'm not talking about this from reading a book. I know what it feels like to feel like nothing, to feel beat down literally, with physical scars, emotional scars, having zero self-esteem. But even if you have been there, I want you all to know that there is hope. There's hope for you. Even when you feel like there's none, there's always hope. Hope endures, but you first have to believe in that hope and want to change it. And if you want to change it, you know, I'm here to give support. There's many agencies that I can share that help me through that support and putting yourself back together again, and all of those things. Thank you so much for tuning into today's podcast. I truly appreciate every single one of you, chat family. Yes, when you choose to walk away, it shows that no one has control over you, that you're taking charge of your destiny. Yes, Jackie. Thank you so much for that. Thank you all so much for tuning into today's podcast. I know that it was a trigger warning, that of a serious nature, and I talk about those serious topics. I'm not afraid of them. And I'm going to go into some deeper things once I get membership. I'm going to be even more transparent with my members. But when we get there and I get membership, we're really going to get into some deeper and darker topics. But in the public, I'm going to keep it YouTube friendly. But we will be having those real talk and real conversations. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Miss Jackie, Miss Tamika, Blessed Life, Boss Life Online, anybody who tuned in live, and anybody who's watching in the replay. You know, my thoughts, my hopes, my prayers are with you for elevation. And I hope that, you know, you get away from people who are trying to control you. I want you to know that you deserve better. And one thing that people don't know is people don't know about your story. People don't know about your past and what you have been through. They only see who you are now. And I'm so proud of your strength. I'm proud of your maturity and your courage. It takes a lot of courage to put one foot in front of the other, to stand up, even when you have every reason to stay stuck and fall down and be afraid and just stay around toxicity. You can change it. You've tuned into the Marlene Saunders Show, where we have real talk, real conversations, and you're welcome to it. If it's your first time here, hit the like, subscribe to this channel, turn on your notifications. We do podcasts Monday to Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I thank you so much for joining me today. Hit the like, leave me a comment in the comment section, and I will see you all tomorrow, Wednesday, on the next Marlene Saunders Show. Bye bye, everybody.